Hello everyone, welcome back to FPL Jedi Show live stream. This will be our Game Week 6 preview. My name is Hafiz and I would like to welcome, as usual, my co-host Azmin to the stream. How are you coming to this week, man?
Oh, I'm good actually. I've done something already, which we can talk about. But I think I did have spent some time in hindsight looking at my team where I did wrong, what I missed out on, and admittedly, there were a lot of things that I did which was not to my philosophy that was expected to follow. So I had a bit of time to recollect and relook back, and yep, I've hit my wild card. So we can talk about that later as well.
Right. So let's celebrate achievement. Woo! So then Azmin already activated his wildcard. I haven't yet, but I have thought on probably wildcard could be an option for me this week. Later we touch on our respective team. Maybe before we are going to run through what's the talking points or dilemma for this week. I think most certain we are going to discuss how Azmin team will line up for this game week 6 wildcard, and then we will debate whether any changes are required to his team. People also talk about potential of triple captaining this week. Welcome to Rakan FPL, who I already mentioned about Haaland triple captaincy for this week. I think those are the options that we can look at. And at the same time, before we jump into the Game Week 6 team news, I think we will run through all the team news also. Some of it we know already. Coming out from the pressure of managers. I think so that is quite decent that we decided to stream on Friday night Malaysian time. Okay, and but first we take a look, a quick one to our team perform in game week 5. I bench boosted, so I don't. Then I got 51 points, and yourself, Min, got 34 points. The average point was 42. So that's where the difference between us, slight red arrow for you, mine a big green arrow, because I bench boosted and got 11 points, 4 plus 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 points. So whether 11 points a success or not, I think I'll take it. If let's say you said beforehand that I've got like 10 points, I think I can accept that because in the end we are not sure. I'm also depending on the result of Burnley versus Forest. They end up drew 1-1, so no clean sheet for both teams. But Sels and Dubravka at least got some save point. Dubravka got 2 save points, so that's why Dubravka got 4 points. Sels 3 points. And talk about my bench. Steve got 4 points, 2 DEFCON points from him. So I'll welcome that when it matters when the week that I bench boosted. The disappointed one was definitely King. He did play over 60 minutes, but then yellow carded. So only left with 1 point. Prior to that game before, also 1 point. So disappointing transfer for the likes of King from Fulham. Konza didn't keep a clean sheet. Aston Villa, despite playing against man Sunderland, they failed to keep a clean sheet and drew with them. So that's a poor Aston Villa, and Unai Emery branded his team kind of like lazy. So the Konza end up with 2 points. So that's where my 11 points come in. If not, I will end up with 40 points. Yeah. So that can be a disastrous week because other than that, my team pretty average. Salah returned an assist. Mateta scored a goal but no bonus point. And Kudus somehow rather produced and 2 assists but yellow carded. And the rest of my team blank all over the place, especially the Villa assets, Chris Wood. Semenyo got a DEFCON, no return, okay, but he got that 5 points, so I'll take that. Cucurella blank for both of us. How about your team? You're on mute, me?
Sorry. Yeah, I had Sales and Dubravka, unfortunately, because I don't have bench boost, so I didn't use, so I didn't get any points for Dubravka. We both had same failures in terms of Cucurella, as well as as well as Salah. Everyone else is different. So my Pedro Porro blanked. Diouf got 3 points. Ahmad Rogers blanked. Oh, sorry, our other Semen player, Semenyo. KDB blanked, and Haaland have helped to save it from looking. It could have been under 30 if not for Haaland. So really, really poor. And my last straw was Ronaldo getting sent off for a admittedly very stupid lashing out because he got tackled. He wasn't happy with it, and then he pushed his opponent in some way and got himself sent off. So it was really, really annoying. And so that really pulled the trigger for me because my bench already had Full Crook, who's no longer starting, Mark Gui, who's went back to Chelsea to warm the bench. Even if he not that even didn't even get on the bench. De Kuyper is the only one who seems to be fit now, but it's too late when now you've seen Ahmad also this week is not going to be able, which we'll see later. But there's just too many problems with the team, and as well as Rogers, who we both have, who didn't, who Villa don't know what's going on with them at the moment. So I'm just happy that just managed to avoid the 8 million, but hopefully this week will herald a new start and I can start climbing instead of further going down.
All right, I think maybe that's why you pull out the trigger in terms of wildcard. You did have Haaland and Salah combo, but the rest of the team, maybe there's plenty of uncertain in terms of minutes and also potential injury. And then Ronaldo got red carded. That's kind of like bad luck because you won't know this kind of red card will come at any time, and then decided Ronaldo red carded because of that lash out to Matty Cash, if I'm right. So then,
That's right.
So I think that's why you put it, and I think I did mention potentially last week, but I think this could be also a decent week in terms of the window to get certain players and some fixture swing, of which that a lot of content creators did mention about getting the team fixed this week and onboard the players that have some decent fixture coming up. So maybe we'll take a look at the fixture ticker and then see which team or what kind of landscape that we're going to have for the next 6 or 8 weeks here. In terms of fixture ticker, on top, if Arsenal, I think that's why people are thinking if you are short of Arsenal players, if you're on one player or none of their player, this could be an opportunity wildcard and could get at least 2 or 3 players from Arsenal because their fixture are turning great. I think their fixture quite rough for the past 5 game weeks. They played the likes of United, they play Liverpool, I think they play Newcastle if I'm right. So, Newcastle gonna come in right up. But they have some tough fixture prior to this. They play Man City. Yeah, I forgot that. But their fixture are going to turn better despite Game Week 6 Newcastle away. Then after that, excellent fixture. You can see there West Ham, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Burnley and Sunderland back-to-back promoted side Game Week 10 and 11, Spurs and then Chelsea. So you can write on all those players that you are comfortable with, whether in defense or in attacking position. Second on the ticker is Spurs. If you're not having any Spurs asset, this could be an opportunity. They have 2 excellent fixture for the next 2, at least Wolves and Leeds. So I think that's kind of like nice entry points for Spurs. Okay, they have still excellent fixture after that. Villa, Everton, at least after the international break, Chelsea, United, Arsenal may be quite tough there, Fulham. So you can just get those, say the defenders from Spurs, if you trust them, get the cheap one or the mid-range one, and then you just rotate with some of the players during those tough fixture. Everton also, why people are eyeing, because they have like back-to-back home game and definitely against West Ham this week and then Crystal Palace in 7 before they're playing City in 8 Then Spurs, Sunderland, Fulham. So people are looking at the likes of Grealish, Ndiaye, Tarkowski. Those are the names that people are looking at in the wildcard teams. Wolves maybe not so much, but Strand Larsen did start last week. So you can potentially bring him in as the third option striker and then play whenever that the features are right. As example, in game week 8, they play Sunderland and then Burnley. So after international break, quite nice. We want to target that. And there's debate whether if let's say you're going 8, potentially attacking force up front might be different from Wildcard in game week 6 because they have excellent fixture. Sunderland, Burnley and Fulham, those kind of things. Okay. Then Brighton, okay, Chelsea, Wolves, Newcastle, United, Leeds, maybe Minter in the conversation. Okay, Bournemouth, excellent. Leeds, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Forest. So Semenyo is like a must-have now. Looking at defense, cheap defender like Senesi, you can go Petrovi if you trust Andy Van Nielsen up front, so you can go to those options for Bournemouth. Leeds maybe as enabler as in game week 6 wildcard. You're thinking where you're going to bench boost. I think offline we discuss with Azmin potentially where he's going to bench boost. Later he will reveal his plan. Villa, maybe Fulham, Burnley, but after that, going to be tough for Spurs, City, Liverpool. Just if you don't trust him, this is the asset that you want to ditch, then that could be a potential. Below the ticker, at least for the bottom two, Burnley and Newcastle going to have tough one. Maybe Newcastle after that, Arsenal and Forest to the international break, maybe Brighton, Fulham, West Ham can provide some excellent options, but Burnley will only be an enabler. And potentially, if you're bench boosting in game week 8, the Leeds fixture could be a nice one to target. Main fixture ticker, you're on wildcard. Are you targeting any, or you looking which one teams of it?
Yeah, I've been looking a lot, and I did mention at the start of the season how Zubimendi is going to be awesome for Arsenal, and I do feel that with that run of fixtures, it's really hard for you not to consider having an Arsenal defender. I still don't have an Arsenal defender in the moment because I'm trying to scrape funds for it. But definitely an Arsenal defender would be good, as well as one Arsenal attacker. Who the attacker is, that's a big problem because you got Saka, Gyökeres, and Gyökeres has penalties, right? But he takes a forward slot. But of course, Saka is still at the moment. But now you also have Eze in there. Odegaard's returned to training, so not how that's going to happen. So there's the worries about the spread, but which is why going the defense, you can always don't need to worry, have a defense. And alternatively, instead of the midfielder, Gyökeres, who is on the forward slot. If you feel that you want him, if you have the money for it, then go for it. Spurs, the problem with the midfield is that Thomas. I have to admit, they've overachieved in my opinion, in the sense that I underestimated them. But Thomas Frank has gone on record to say that he's learning from, whereas previously he didn't have much of a squad. He had to play the same players a lot. With this one, he's trying to manage, which explains why the likes of Johnson isn't starting in league matches. But it is a problem if based on what he says that they may continue to rotate, and that is why people are not very reticent about going on to Spurs assets. So again, what happens when you don't trust the attack in terms of the starting options? That's when you go to the defender again. So you got Pedro Porro and Van der Ven as options. And Everton have started well in the new stadium. Just the thing where the problem is that previously where there was only one decent option in Everton, there's now three. You've got Grealish, you've got KDH, you've got Ndiaye, all vying for attention there. So not great. I'll just touch for Wolves. Then you have Wolves, JSL. Wolves are the worst bottom of the league at the moment, so it's hard to pick them even though they got good fixtures because you're not sure when they're going to turn around. And finally, Brighton. Brighton's a bit like you're not sure who's the best pick. Mintes seems to be arriving. Rutter has so far flattered to deceive. He hasn't done well. Yeah, but having said that, because you have those 5 teams. You have those teams are all affordable in the except for us. Everyone else is affordable. You can build a team to really exploit these fixtures.
All right. So you talk about the Arsenal, the Spurs. So do you kind of like have since you already wildcarded your team for Game 6, you haven't played any other chips, if I'm right.
No.
And once you wildcarded, people are talking about potentially where your bench boost option would be. Is that something that play into your mind when building this team, or how you look at it?
Yeah, I've considered using the bench boost, but only to the point where I make sure that I have a team of starters for all. So at least when it starters, whatever fixtures, then I will push that in. I know that there was some game weeks where it looks good. Like I think there was one game week 13, was it? I can't remember exactly, but for example, where Burnley, who's our pillar, faces Leeds. Yeah. So, but I don't want to be too focused on that to build my team. I want the best players who can rotate in and out rather than just have them ready for the bench boost. Yeah. So as long as all my players, I can be confident on them starting, then I'm not too worried about whether or not I'll bench boost.
Right, great. So, as a summary, in terms of which teams that you are looking at, and potentially before we looking at your team, that you feel that you want to fill out your team with those kind of players.
It's still going to be a good mix because Arsenal and Spurs and possibly Everton, although I just have bad experiences with Everton, so I'm still a bit reluctant.
Okay.
But in terms of quality, because City who are further down that fixture ticker, but if you look at honestly, the only matchup there in those matchups is Liverpool. So otherwise you got Burnley, Brentford, Everton, this season's Aston Villa. Bournemouth could be a bit more tough, but then you are at home. Newcastle, then Leeds United. That's really good. So at the moment, I'm actually looking at tripling up on City players. That's even though they're not exactly at the top of the fixture ticker.
But this is why the reason that people are wildcarding is getting the best asset in terms of potential scoring. I think despite City somewhere in middle, because maybe this sticker is for the 8 game weeks, but if let's say further cut to 6 or maybe 4, I think City will definitely up there. Burnley, Brentford, Everton, you did mention that,
Exactly.
and Haaland, despite later we touch on his fitness, I think we can say that Pep has declared Haaland is ready to go. So I think it's really solidified on wildcard why people should do it this week. Swing that fixture, take on Salah, who are going to have Crystal Palace and Chelsea for the next 2, and see how it goes after the international break.
So one of the problems and another motivation for wildcard is Salah's non-performance. A lot of people who have Salah are keen to get him off their books because they could use the funds elsewhere. So that's and the other, of course, is the Haaland looking like he's back to his best, and he's the best, almost consistent player at the moment. So those two are reducing factors. So those who have both, like me, they may possibly just sell Salah and redistribute the funds. But those who don't have Haaland will want to buy in Haaland. Yeah. So it depends on where your team's at. But Haaland is looking really good at the moment. It's irresistible. Although this little injury hiccup looks like it's not a problem. So yeah, we'll have a lot of team with Haaland. We've already seen a lot of transfers for Haaland in already this
Yeah, I think he is the most transfer in this week. They're almost hitting that 1 million mark in terms of transfer in. I think there's no surprise. He's the candidate that people are going to captain this week. Potentially triple captaincy if you're not using any chip this week. If you're using wildcard, then you don't have option to triple captain him. But I think this is the way that people will jump to Haaland and do that, captain him. If I may show here a quote from Pep, he mentioned on Erling Haaland. He is ready. Erling Haaland is ready to face Burnley this weekend. I hope he's not lying in terms of that information that Erling Haaland are not going to start. I think he will start. I think the question that people should ask is whether he can last 90 minutes, because Champions League next week before a game against Brentford, and they close out for the international break. City playing who in Champions League? So I think that's the only thing. If Pep thinking whether maybe after Haaland scored a couple of goals or a hat-trick against Burnley, City already lead up like after 60 minutes for 4 goals or 3 goals, something like that. I think maybe that's an opportunity Pep will take him out. But other than that, I can see only Haaland starting. I'm also scratching my head how to get him in. But if you're wildcarding that, I think it's that an easy one, a decision to make. Min, you're on mute.
I guess the question is, if Haaland doesn't play, how will Pep line up? Who starts up front? That's the bit of a puzzle there. But it's apparently, I don't think Marmoush is ready yet for this weekend. But
Marmoush is
it
out.
could be Foden as a false nine. They City play Monaco away.
City play Monaco, okay, right.
So it's it may not be as tough as it looks. So yeah, we may see him start this weekend. We will probably see him start this weekend.
All right, Min, let's go to your team and just talk about how you line up for this wildcard and see whether that we can improve your team, or because I know Azmin, when he built his any team or wildcard team, he would definitely have some spicy picks there, which is interest. So you can see his team. Let's jump to Azmin World Cup team. This could be the latest one, right, Min?
Well, no, I've already slightly changed it anyway, but never mind. Okay, so firstly, I'm just sick and tired of cells, and after losing the manager, it looks like it's totally going to be a different style of play, and the focus on defense first is not it. And we all know Angie, and historically speaking, he is not great. So I've dumped cells, brought in Donnarumma. He was my first transfer that I did to also catch the price increase. Then I have Van der Ven, who's still there under Thomas Frank, Anderson, and Diouf is one of those I've kept because I feel that he does perform, even though when West Ham get trashed, but Diouf still has that capacity of getting an assist. So I've gone for Eze because I feel that he's champing at the bits and he did well. He scored a goal in midweek as well, and I think he'll be ready. Enzo, I just like him. I think I bought him before last season as well, and I just like him. I think that he will do well, and he may take penalties. It's still a question of whether Pedro or Enzo will be the one taking penalties. So I'd like to cash in on that. Hopefully he's the one who's taking his penalties. Semenyo, of course, who I already brought in previously, and he stays there. Foden, so another player that I brought in is Foden. I think he's just ready. He's just feeling it. He's in the zone at the moment. Pedro, who this is admittedly, that I previously didn't have and thought he would not do well, but especially now that the other guy is crocked to the point that called back Guim, so Pedro will continue to start. Isaac is another punt of mine, so thanks to Ekitike, and I just feel that it's going to be a tough match, but he'll want to grab that starting spot. Yeah, and of course Haaland fills in the rear. So at the bench right now, I got Dubravka, Rodden, Dewsbury Hall, and Ballard. So Rodden, of course, he's 4.0, but Ballard, although he's 4.5, it's just that he has that capacity to score from set pieces, and he's strong, and he will also get a lot of DEFCON. Oops, I finally mentioned DEFCON, talking a bit. I've started to come around to this DEFCON thinking, and I should consider, which is why I also have Anderson up there. He another person who we talk about DEFCON quite a bit. So that's my team at the moment. I have to say that as it happened, I was feel quite confident, especially as players like Eze and Foden had started midweek. But now I'm having second thoughts, with Eze playing most of the match as in midweek, and considering Arsenal squad is stronger, whether he will get benched in the weekend. Foden is also someone else I remember, because Pep Guardiola during the press conference was saying about how he wants to play every day, and I think he'll do great. For me, from coming from Pep, that just feels like a bit of kiss of death from Pep in terms of starting. We've seen this before. He praises someone the max, and then suddenly he gets benched the very next match, or that match of the press conference. So
You mean that?
so that fills me with a bit of concern. The other thing that is still making me worry is that just now I mentioned how Arsenal defense is going to be so much stronger, and yet there I am not with any Arsenal defenders. I think most WCs would have Raya in it as one, for the defense, but I just like Donnarumma more. So which means I will still probably shuffle this as well. Maybe get rid of Eze and bring in an Arsenal defender instead. So just now I mentioned Eze and Foden, who I'm not convinced of the starting status. I want to come back to my principles of last season, at the start of last season, where make sure, be 100% confident that they start. And the moment there's a bit of doubt, maybe I need to change that. So I'm gonna look into that.
All right, fair. I think some of the picks I like, because it's definitely different. The one thing that we discussed offline, I said I don't think anybody going to have on Wildcard this week. I can see that people are looking at João Pedro and Gyökeres and Haaland up front. I think that's the template. Some go different a bit, getting Richarlison to take advantage of those two fixtures that we mentioned. Okay, instead of Gyökeres maybe coming in after that international break in Gameweek 8. But I think I like this Isaac because Ike will be out this week, and Isaac should start. Whether he's going to start full minutes, that's the only concern. But probably he will start for the next two and playing Chelsea the way, and then you can see. And potentially, I don't know, you will know better who will be on penalty. Would he still remain on Salah, or Isaac could take that one from Salah? I think that can still be a question. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, so this I've thought about this one, and of course, you could argue that Salah may even let Isaac take the first penalty to open his account, but he has already opened his account midweek for Liverpool. Yeah, of course, that not for the Premier League yet, but for Liverpool, he's already opened his account, so that's a question. I think Salah will continue to take penalties. I don't think that's going to be an issue there. But it's just that I do feel Isaac is very close to Salah in terms of quality, and I think that they're gonna have this better understanding, and I think that will lead to Isaac scoring a lot of goals.
All right, I think I like that pick. Okay, the next one, I think I will also give shout out to Foden. I think he's on form actually, but for my experience, from my past experience, Foden has been disappointing whenever I trust him. I think last season is a disastrous one for me because I think, is it like a wild card when City playing at home against Southampton, and we thought this is going to be big one, but it turns out a low scoring one and Foden blank, and after that he's fade out. But those things can happen, but you just take your punt this week, man. Okay, but I just want to share my experience on Foden. So maybe if I'm wildcarding this week, I might not have him, but he has got some good remark from Pep. So I think that can be at least a positive one. Foden there. Semenyo, I think it's a must-have for everyone. People are looking at Ryder instead of Foden, a cheaper one at 5.7 million right now. He has at least two from the past game weeks. He has two returns in 2 weeks, 10 points in game week 1, and the last one against Arsenal 9 points. He also has potential DEFCON potential, but Foden could be an exciting one. Okay, Enzo, I think I like with Palmer. We can mention here Palmer declared out from Enzo Maresca in his presser until the international break. So for the next 2 weeks, Enzo will be the main man for Chelsea. He could be on penalty, and he's a cheap one at 6.7 million, right? I think that's the price that you need to pay for Enzo. You have more trust into the Chelsea asset because you have 2 players there. Okay, and Eze will be a differential one for sure, but his minutes is a concern. When you pick him, you just need to bear on that if you can live with it. If not, like you mentioned, me potentially downgrade him to something like, say, if you like the fixture just now, whether Everton or Spurs, you can get like 6.5 million Kudus and Dyer or Grealish, and move that 1 million to defense and get an Arsenal defense like a Gabriel and upgrade whoever that Bala Diouf. I understand Diouf picked there because he has been excellent for you when you have him for the past 5 weeks. But maybe he's or Bala the one to go if let's say you want to upgrade to Gabriel. Donnarumma, people looking at Raya more. I think I will definitely hedge in terms of risk, in terms of whether you want to double up Arsenal or double up City in defense. I think if you have one Arsenal defense, you can go one City keeper. I think the rest speak for themselves. I think that's my comment. Maybe I'll touch on bench boost later. You're on mute, man?
If you go back to the fixture list, Chelsea, I just want to touch on Chelsea. I don't know if having 2 assets is too much, because if you look at the fixture listing, Chelsea are not so high until then. You play Liverpool and then Forest and then Sunderland, which technically speaking is still Liverpool that's pushing them down, and Arsenal right at the tail end of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Is having, should I just have one? So that's something that I need to think about. But what makes me want Pedro is, obviously everyone's is one of hot picks along with Semenyo, but he is, for me, there's additional attraction there because he's playing Brighton, his ex-team.
Yeah.
So it's something to think about. You'll definitely want to show that he's in a better team, that he's that kind of guy who's going to show.
I think that's my comment. Whether the picks, wherever that you think the best, if you're looking at this fixture ticker, I think maybe a Spurs midfielder. But I don't think a lot of content creators thinking of that. They will have like Bruno Fernandes, okay. They will have Semenyo for sure. They will have Reinder for sure, and then I think Dyer is the one. A lot of people are not talking about any Spurs midfielder, which I'm not sure whether they're right or not.
Because what I mentioned earlier is because there's a lot of uncertainty as to who's going to start. Because if Johnson, who was Spurs' top scorer last season, isn't even getting regular starts himself, obviously Thomas Frank does emphasize and put a bit of emphasis on defense, and which means Johnson is. I mean, he worked so well under Angie setup because Angie didn't care as much about defense. So Johnson could just go in, run time his run into the box and score goals and not worry much about tracking back. So then you have Xavi Simons, who looks good, but he's still quite new. So
I think the main one may be Kudus, like Marcel will have.
Yeah.
But he's not more of a scorer and more to assister at this juncture. So maybe that's
So that's also people who even already have him and are benefiting from him are still looking at seeing if they got an opportunity to move him to a more better point scorer. Yeah. So that's why Spurs aren't very and the forward line, Richarlison could lose his place anytime. That's another problem. So yeah.
think go back to your team. I think in defense, Anderson is a DC monster that people are looking at. But I just want to show you this one table in terms of the defender that has been scoring DEFCON each game for the past game week, whether you are interested to. Only two players has scored that, which is Mr. Tarkowski and Senesi. 10 points each game for the past 5 games. They have been hitting that DC points. Senesi at 4.8 million now. Tarkowski might be higher, but if you don't want, say, Tarkowski, Senesi could be an option at a cheaper price instead of Ballard or Diop. And Bournemouth has some excellent feature. I think you can trust Bournemouth playing style under Areola, and Bournemouth also can be fixture proof, right? The more that you're playing with the big team, you want Bournemouth because they could spoil that game for the premium team. So that's why Senesi is there. Tarkowski, also people thinking about getting him in the Wildcard team because of these DC points. But if you don't like that 5.5 million, I'm also thinking whether he's worth that 5.5. If not, you can go the likes of Senesi. Anderson there at 4th. So your pick at Anderson is a spot thought one you're looking at. If not, other than that, maybe the Sunderland guys, Denver maybe into conversation. Van Dijk at 6 million. So the Crystal Palace, you could go Lacroix at 5.1 million there. If not, you can go cheaper. Chris Richard, who are not inside here, but I believe he also a decent one at Crystal Palace. I just want to give you another thing. Is the team that has been keeping clean sheet for the past 5-1. Newcastle at the top with 4 clean sheets. So you can see there, I think it talks about metrics, clean sheet, potential attacking return, and also DC points. So Newcastle, maybe the features are not there, but Denburn can be an option at 5 million. Then Arsenal, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, and Spurs, the only teams that keep 3 clean sheets. The rest are below than that. So you're thinking about Bournemouth, they kept 3 clean sheets. Arsenal, 3 clean sheets. Crystal Palace, I think Crystal Palace has not been beaten yet. Liverpool and Crystal Palace, the only teams are unbeaten right now, right? So that's why Crystal Palace are there. And then Spurs.
Well, firstly, early sympathies to Crystal Palace for the record being broken this weekend, where they will lose against Liverpool. But I do want to mention that Senesi being at the top is insane. If you remember pre-season, we were thinking Bournemouth's defense is going to collapse totally. It's going to be rubbish. And here we are looking at a Bournemouth defender, 4.8, which crazily enough, Hafiz, just now you mentioned having Senesi instead of Anderson or Diouf or Van der Ven, and I cannot afford him. It's insane. So unless I sell it for Van der Ven, I can sell because I got 0.1 units available, so I could do that. But no one else, and I can't sell anyone else to get him. So that's a bit of a pain. Just now you mentioned Newcastle, and the thing with Newcastle is that I've realized that Eddie Howe has become a bit more pragmatic. He's not really all out. He's learning he's getting the team to emphasize a bit more on defending when they need to, especially against bigger teams and strong teams, and it's paid off for him. So the only game where we didn't see that happen, where he wasn't really that pragmatic, but a lot of emotion, was the Liverpool-Newcastle game. So it was very clear there wasn't going to be a clean sheet, so that a defense to be gone. Let's just go out for blood. And we didn't see that. But other than that, Newcastle has been very cautious and be smart, especially when it's also competing in multiple leagues as well. So in the Champions League as well as the Carabao. So it looks like he's determined to do well in all fronts. And I think that can only do, and if in order to do that, then you really have to short end defense. And I think that's what he's been doing. So credit to them. Although when you look at this list, only Burn turns up in terms of the defensive contribution points top, but I think it's really because it's that midfield. It's the Jolingtons, the Brunos, and the Tonalis of this world who are really chipping in terms of helping out defensively.
Yeah. So this is just an option for you to think about whether those defense that you can.
But I just want to say Tarkowski I've ruled out. It's just too expensive for a middling team to buy that much units.
All right. I think last before we move to this is just to touch a bit in terms of when you're wildcard, you also think whether what's the next one on the bench boost. I think we discussed about potentially your bench boosting in 8. I think that's because you're 6 and then the nearest one would be 8, maybe 7 if you want to go there, but the fixture might be tough in terms of your enabler. But in game week 8, if let's say you have that Burnley and Leeds United player, and also Sunderland, which is interesting, man, because in that game week 8, Leeds and Burnley are going to play each other, and Sunderland going to face at home against Wolves, potentially. Violet could have a decent week there. The only
So I have representatives from all 3 teams there in Dubravka, Roden, and Vala. So there you go.
so that can be excellent choice when you might not think that, but that game week 8 could potentially. The drawback only is game week 8 after international break. So just don't know what's the condition of the players. But if let's say if they stay healthy, then you can have option there. The only one is if let's say you have Dewsbury Hall as your bench in game week 8, Everton will face Man City. But if let's say you have another option that people are looking at bench is start from Leeds United 5.0. Leeds United going to play Burnley, and then that could potentially be an excellent bench for you. But despite that, Dewsbury Hall could be an excellent one moving forward. The only thing, they play Man City. If let's say I can just go back to that fixture ticker just to make it clear, game week 8, Everton, where is he? Playing Man City in game week 8. But for your Burnley assets, they play each other, Burnley Leeds, and Sunderland at home against Wolves for game week 8. I think that's the only debate lah if you're talking about that.
It's really I because I'm with wildcard, you try to look a bit long because you're not going to have another chance to wildcard and then give me 18. So even to that point, I've looked at Chelsea, like for example, wherever the international breaks are, and I've looked at which teams are playing immediately after the international break.
Okay, fair. You're talking about
and then we noticed that the next 2, which is game week 8 and game week 12, I think, Chelsea have the early match. They play Forest and Burnley, which arguably is good, but it makes me wonder about Pedro, who might be traveling from Brazil. So it'll be fun for those of us who have him and watching his frequent flyer miles clock up and tracking his plane, that kind of thing. Yeah,
you will do that for us, right? Okay.
Yeah, I haven't checked in terms of when those. I've only checked as in that fact, but I haven't checked as to when. We don't know he has Brazil matches on the Monday before that, or I haven't checked the schedule. But definitely is something I need to check before I commit to Pedro.
I think despite that, your bench, if they say you stick with that, Dewsbury Hall is still decent playing Man City. You just never know what's going to happen. Everton just going to sit back at the counter and something happens. Like last week, when people never thought about Ndaya going to return against Liverpool, he got that assist. So anything is possible despite playing a big team. Okay, I think that's all to touch about your team. Maybe your last word, if let's say you're thinking any changes.
Yeah, I mean, and definitely I can see myself making more changes if I'm not confident about Eze and Foden in terms of starting. At the end, that is my priority on this wildcard, to make sure that everyone is a decent player and is not worried in terms of the starting status. Because right now I'm looking at it now and thinking that's a lot of players involved in Europe, man. it's
Okay.
it's something that is at the back of my head. That first 11 of mine, yeah, almost everyone is involved in how sorry, not almost everyone, but yeah, at least 60% of them are all involved in Europe, 70% maybe. So I need to be careful about that.
So if they say you're thinking of downgrading AJ, maybe you have the extra money, then Senesi could be the one that you're trying to fix, or Arsenal defense, like you mentioned.
Yep. An Arsenal defense, I'm really looking at that. I guess if I downgrade Eze into someone cheaper, but who still starts, yeah, because Eze is not very cheap either. He's 7.5, 7.6. Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's options. If I downgrade him,
Yes.
then yeah, I can definitely get an Arsenal defender, but who I
I
still
think
want.
I think there's a lot of value in defense. So you can go high, say 5.5, 6 million. If let's say you think about those players, Tarkowski, Gabriel, so or you can go cheap, 4.5, 4.8, Senesi, Anderson, who else? Lacroix, Richards, Van der Ven, like this, and just those can come good, despite their price lower. So I think that's what I'm thinking. If you think want to save money in keeper, say Donnarumma, you want to go cheaper, 5 million or 4.5, like Petrovic that people are talking about. It could be cheap at 4.5, then they distribute more money in defense.
True,
Okay.
but yeah, okay, God.
All right, maybe just take a look at the fixture this week, for game week 6. So what fixture people are looking at? Definitely the fixture that people are looking at is Man City against Burnley. Because those are the fixture Moneyball they're looking at. The likes of Haaland, captaincy is there. I think that's why Man City is another favorite one. Other than that, potentially people looking at Bournemouth against Leeds United, who can take advantage, but Leeds has been decent, right? Especially at home. So Bournemouth still need to be careful, but we still can rely on the likes of Semenyo, Senesi to produce something in this game. Other than that, I think the premium fixture for this week is definitely Newcastle versus Arsenal. Arsenal drew against City. They're playing away to Newcastle. Newcastle has been keeping clean sheet like we mentioned, so it's going to be a tight game. But Arsenal could be a favorite one to win this game. Potentially a game that at risk in terms of managerial casualty. West Ham, they're playing away to Everton on Monday night. So if let's say West Ham poor again against Everton, you can see a different manager managing West Ham somewhere next year or after international break. But Everton could be an excellent fixture if you're looking at getting those players. Other than that, Spurs versus Wolves, both have been poor. They have not been recording any points so far. So Spurs could take advantage. By that, Liverpool against Crystal Palace, those are the undefeated teams playing each other. We'll see who the last man standing, we can say, in terms of those results. And then Chelsea versus Brighton, and potentially lunchtime fixture, Brentford versus United. Bomo returning to Brentford, right? So could this be the fixture that Bomo going to score against his old club? So what's your take, man? Giving 6 fixture.
Well, firstly, Brentford versus Manchester United. Yes, Manchester United got the result last week, but it was helped by your Robert Sanchez messing up big time. So I can't deny that played its role. So this is a game that Manchester United still need to win. And there's a little sweetener that involves Mbeumo returning to his Brentford for the first time. So it could be an option for those of you who don't want Bruno and Mbeumo instead. Chelsea versus Brighton, another case, but then Joao Pedro facing his old club, so that's also great as well. Um, that, I mean, okay, so sentiments aside, when you look at that fixture listing, nothing really jumps out in terms of really big aside from Manchester City, Burnley, and Spurs versus Wolves, which is why everyone's jumping in on Haaland. We seen Burnley at the first; they were decent, and at home they were expecting to do much better than away. So away they may defend, they may set up well, but if City just find a way, they can do it. So and City at home. Spurs versus Wolves, it remains to be seen whether Pereira can revitalize Wolves. JSL still can't play 90 minutes. He can play. Apparently, he said he can play probably 70 plus minutes. But it's not going to be enough, I feel, against Thomas Frank's Spurs. Thomas Frank is managing his team quite well as so far, and definitely Spurs will win. The problem, of course, for us is which FPL picks to pick, because it's a bit hard to figure it out. So which is why, coming back to City, why Haaland is just so easy. He's easy to decide to have him because he just looks so good. And now that the injury news claims he's ready, then you expect him to start. He may not play 90 minutes if we want to see Pep make sure that he can play in the Olympiacos Galatasaray match as well. So that's something that we also have to consider in terms of Europe, those teams involved in Europe. Yeah. Other than those two matches I mentioned, none of the rest are really pop. They're all tough. Liverpool versus Palace, tough. Arsenal versus Newcastle, tough. Manchester United, Brentford, tough. Most of the rest are not easy. But it's all about finding the right players who will score.
I just want to mention two fixtures I did not mention, who are also desperate for points, is Forest against Sunderland. So which Forest team going to turn up? I think they drew in midweek in the Europa League competition. Igor Jesus did score 2 goals in that game. Wood did not play. The expectation Wood are going to play this game, but Ange Postecoglou is actually assessing his team, and if let's say Jesus are performing better in terms of Wood from his eye, potentially this could be a disruption for Chris Wood owner if he's not going to perform or start this game. Another one is Aston Villa versus Fulham, which also Villa are desperate for points. They drew against Sunderland last week, and then branded his team are lazy. They managed to scrub a result against Bologna in the Europa League at home, but Watkins missed a penalty. So for Watkins only, it's not going to be a pleasant feeling whether Watkins can actually turn up for this game week. I think he's going to drop in price soon from 8.8 from 8.7. So we need to be careful. People are already frustrating in terms of tired of this Villa set. So what do you think, mate, the prospect for these two games?
That Villa Fulham is definitely have a potential to Villa to lose again. And I mean, you manage teams however you want, but I just feel that I'm no manager, but calling out your team publicly, saying that they're lazy is just, I don't know, it's just going to rub some of these players the wrong way. And I think Konza has recently come out to say Emery was right to call us lazy, but I don't know. This was before the Europa League clash. Yeah, he said that, and Konza said it was fair. But I don't know. I think Fulham is gonna take the opportunity and whack it, And the other one, which is Sunderland versus Forest, I'm gonna call it. Sunderland are gonna win this one. I think Forest are all over the shop. Yeah, I just can't see them. I expect Chris Wood to start this one, but he's just not in the style that NG will want to play. And I think Sunderland will figure this out very quickly, and they're gonna romp to a win. Sunderland. I think NG is gonna be in deep trouble. That's my biggest call. Come Sunday morning, I can see fans starting to question, and I really expect Sunderland to win this one.
All right, great stuff. Let's go quickly on the captaincy prediction, but I think people, the jury is out in terms of who's the best captain for this week. From Fantasy Football Hub member Sarah, AR prediction is Erling Haaland. No surprise, that predicted to score 8.4 this week. Way over from the second place, which is Mo Salah, playing away to Crystal Palace, 6.6. Equals with Semenyo at third place, who are playing Leeds away also. Potentially he could deliver in this game. Then Foden, wow, your big man in your wildcard, he's predicted to score 6.1, fourth place in terms of captaincy for this week. And then Watkins at home against Fulham. I'm not sure people will go there, but predicted to score 5.8, the fifth best into the Gameweek 6 captaincy. Haaland, I mean, no one gonna fight him for this week, right? Haaland all the way.
I mean, excuse me, unless he runs afoul of the most transferred player curse, it's I don't know. I have issues with this AI lah. Why, I don't understand why Watkins continues to make this list. It's so rubbish. I mean, we ended up missing a penalty. Confidence is shot. Aston Villas are all over the place. So I'm just going to discount that one and look at it as the top four. Haaland, Salah, Semenyo for the very familiar list. Semenyo moving up there as well. The only risk with Haaland as a captaincy is you think that if City are winning 4-0 up, I wouldn't put it past Pep to go bench Haaland for the rest of the week, for the rest of the match. And we've seen him benching Haaland bit already. I mean, after scoring 2 goals, he's not allowed to get his hat trick and he's unhappy about it. But it's happened. Whereas previously, 2 seasons ago, he was just playing all the way 90. Last season, of course, was a bit hit and miss because he got injured and form was not great. But whenever he was perfectly in good health in 2 seasons ago, he was playing 90 minutes. So for him to be subbed off and not even allowed to get his hat tricks, potentials, it says a lot. So it's a great captaincy pick this week. I'm just not 100% confident that he won't be taken off early.
I think Rakan FPL, they mentioned about Haaland potentially triple captain. People are looking, if you're not wildcarding, they're going to triple captain Haaland this week. So what do you think? This could be an opportunity?
It's definitely an opportunity. The thing is, it's easy to say that we all go for it against the relegated sides, the promoted sides. The problem is the promoted sides have all not been pushovers this season, and they've won all won their matches. Even Wolves are the one who haven't won anything yet. But Burnley, Sunderland, and these all have, and they've put out a good showing of themselves. They're not pushovers. So that's my only thing. But I mean, it's hard to not go against Haaland. It's hard to go against Haaland. Yeah, especially a lot of people are wildcarding into him, and those are doing multiple transfers to get him in. So,
okay, great stuff. We are already at our 1 hour mark. So you already ran through your team. Quickly on my team selection, I already used my bench pool last week. 1.9 million. I have 2 free transfer this week. As you can see, my team's there. I already made 1 transfer because I don't know, man. I think I can say I should have not done that because I'm thinking like there's a lot of price movement. Then I saw Senesi potentially increase to 4.8 million. I said, man, come on. I need to have him. So I decided to just get him in and then think later because potentially maybe I'll wildcard it, but I haven't activated it. But I already get Senesi in for Konza. And if they say I decided not doing anything because if they say I want Haaland, I need to make a 4 points hit, which Salah and potentially Watkins or Wood out, Haaland in, and then Bruno Fernandes. But for now, say I renew my team here. Sels in goal, Van der Ven, Gabriel, Cucurella, Senesi against Leeds, Mo Salah as my captain, Kudus, Semenyo and Rogers. I still have Villa assets in midfield and up front in the form of Watkins and then Wood. Hopefully he play. So I bench Mateta because he's gonna play against Liverpool. People can argue, Liverpool are not keeping clean sheet, so maybe Mateta could score goal. Maybe. Yeah, but for now, I'm benching him. King, I'm not going to play him anymore. Steve and Dubravka are playing away to City, so definitely a no territory. So, what do you think, man?
Which part?
In terms of
Yes, your
my team,
team.
my team.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why you would want to move to Senesi, that wasn't it, but yeah, I mean, because you still have Watkins, Rogers is always going to be a big problem now. If I really don't, I did bring in Rogers thinking that they would turn a corner a few weeks back. They haven't, so it's hard. The fact that you have him from these two players from game week 1, incredibly amazing. Your patience. I feel like, wow, how did you manage to?
I also don't know.
Yeah. I just, at the moment you said you were considering wildcarding, right?
Yeah.
But if you were not wildcarding, I don't know why you would bench Mateta. I think you should really just play him.
Okay.
I'm just trying to decide as to who would use. Yeah, I mean, you could dump him for Rogers, dump Rogers for Mateta and play him up top, assuming if you still have him, because Liverpool's okay, fine, they kept a clean sheet against Arsenal of all teams, but Liverpool's defense is still not stable. It's still a big question. Yeah, and so Mateta is someone who can score, and they've got Sa, and now we know that Jeremy is going to start, and Sa is available, and he's going to start. So Jeremy will fill up as his plays quite nicely. Maybe not at the same level. It's still good enough. It's good enough, and midfield, Crystal Palace midfield as well as defense are strong enough that, and with Munoz as well, I can definitely see Crystal Palace scoring a goal or two. And we know that this is one of the tougher matches for Liverpool. Why are we dumping Salah? For a lot of people are dumping Salah, in this match, because it's not an easy match. So definitely Mateta can be a nuisance and score.
So what I'm thinking wildcard is like you mentioned, I still have the likes of Watkins and Rogers who have never been performing. Wood are uncertain minutes. He already take out 70 plus minutes last week against and against Burnley, so potentially he's placed at risk. About I think Cucurella is an expensive defender to have because it's Chelsea also and then at the same time it's not producing in terms of DC points. So you could get a cheaper defender that perform better. I think that's
the thing with Cucurella is that the week before he didn't even start because they were saving him for the Champions League.
Yeah.
And then last week was just Sanchez getting sent off, and then he got cut. It's just one, when it rains it pours kind of thing. So arguably I would still think he's a good pick. Oh, that's a former Brighton player as well, by the way, in case you didn't notice. Yeah, but if you were not wildcarding, for me that's not a priority to change. I think I wildcarded, and I sold him. But if you are not wildcarding, Cucurella's not a person that needs to be moved quickly, because I think he's still there. And he will still move. He will still be in the box more often than not as well. So he's still a goal-scoring threat.
I think this is my team for now, but I'm still thinking whether wildcard, because another one that I could roll is actually these two free transfer. Then go to the game week 7. Then after the international break, I got 4 transfer and then deal whatever situation there and take advantage, because I don't have any Man City players. You can see here, no Man City players at all. So Haaland, Reinder, or even Foden. Okay, I think that. And the other one that people looking at this week, who Spurs, at least I have some representative. Okay, But the other option, Moneyball game, is it Everton versus West Ham? Maybe. I don't have any representative of. I think Chelsea. Up front, Joe Pedro, maybe another one that I don't have any rep. So I think that that front lineup could be a problem. Maybe this week is okay, but moving forward, I need to address for sure. Okay, I think that's my team. We take some question and then we wrap up. But before that, we just take a look in terms of our FPL Jedi League. At top right now, Suratani FC. I'm Manchester United fan. JD Sparrow, right? He scored 63 points. He is at the top of our league with 337 points. You can see his team there. Sales in goals, Senesi, he has, 9 points, right? Van der Ven and then Spence. Spence, maybe I'm not sure about that. And Daye, he has Kudus, Mo Salah, Bruno Fernandes with 10 points, Semenyo. Also, he captain Semenyo, that he got 10 points. He has Bowen. Interesting. He scored that goal. And then that 3 bonus point. Then 9 points there. And João Pedro. He has Chaluba and Pope on the bench. But we just never know because he can perform. He decided to bench there. And Tarkowski, he has an option there. And Mayenda. So what do you mean about Suratani FC teams?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, Spence is because I can see problems coming out. Spence has been playing in place of Udogi, but we'll have to see what happens there. Sal's looks like he has Pope there, which is not bad, and we know that Pope will definitely come off very well in the next after this week, the following week onwards. Then you got Chaloba and Tarkowski there, which is great. But Mayenda looks like he's lost his starting spot to Isidore. Wilson Isidore.
Yeah. I almost suggested you that, right? Potentially, but now.
Yeah. I'm not sure because the thing is that I was worried that Mayenda would be the starter, but it looks like Isildore's taken over. Did I say Isildo? That's but he has Bowen, which is fascinating. And the thing is, he doesn't have Haaland either, but there he is at the top. So
probably this week we just don't know what he's gonna do, right?
Yeah, I think having Fernandes is one of the great reasons why he's up there as well. Fernandes has been good. Contrary to my thoughts that what would happen with him, but it'd be hard not to resist. I haven't checked to see how many transfers he did. Whether or not he can do free transfers just to get to Haaland and not without having to use a wildcard. But definitely, I can see him still wanting to bring in Haaland this week.
I think he has an excellent midfielders. Daye, Kudus, Salah, just keep Bruno and Semenyo. Can't go wrong. And if let's say in defense, you can always play Tarkowski, Chaloba over Spence or Van der Ven. If Spurs fixture are not great, Pope could come in for sale. So I think it's still is decent, definitely robust. Whether the best, if we see if he does not have Haaland this week and then suddenly Haaland exploded, then it will be a different story. So just to give shout out to the rest top 10, Red to Liverpool. She was in first place last week, so down to second because he's only scored 51 points. Third place, Puch FC. Goodbye, Sony FC. Fourth, fifth, Champs. Sixth, Skynet. Sharing same point with Sawi Galah from Aziz Ismail. Kamikaze at 8, Tak The Otak at 9, and Ducati sharing 9-10 place with 303 points. All right. Let's go back to question. Man City defenders, Doku or Foden. Azmin did favor Foden, but Doku slightly lower, right, in terms of price. Foden, the one, right?
Doku is just the more secure pick for me. Yeah, I'm having second thoughts with Foden, to be honest.
Right.
But anyway, I can't answer this one. Sorry.
But I think most of what people thoughts right now is Foden. If let's say you want to go, okay. All right. Bench one for this week. Guy against Liverpool or Anderson Fulham against Aston Villa. I'll take my hedge and go for Anderson.
Anderson. This one's Anderson.
It's going to be a tight one. Same price, same bracket if you're wildcarding. Raya or Donnarumma.
Actually, Donnarumma is 4.6 now and not 4.5. I think Raya is still 4.5.
Raya 5.6. Donnarumma
5.5. Oh, so they're both 5.6 now. Okay. Then, for me, Donna. I went for Donna.
I think people like to double up in Arsenal defense. You can go it, but I have history last season. If you still remember, you go double up Arsenal. Arsenal really, in terms of stat, they are good. But then, lepas satu goal, what happened? You are stranded with 5-on-5 keeper who are getting 2 points. So that's not a good feeling. All right, Tarkowski or Gvardiol? I presume on wildcard. Tarkowski 5.5, Gvardiol slightly higher. Which one you go?
I would go for Gvardiol as a player I've been looking at. And, if I hadn't gone for Donnarumma, if I had gone for, say, Raya, then I would definitely look to squeeze in a City defender, Gvardiol. I know there's this narrative going on how City somehow, despite being dominant, always managed to find a way to concede. But I think with Donnarumma, they've got jump up in terms of their level, in terms of that defense. That guy is a crazy shot stopper. So I would go Gvardiol.
If I had a lot of Arsenal and Liverpool players, should I free hit or wildcard? Arsenal playing Newcastle, Liverpool playing Crystal Palace. I'm not sure how your team looks like. Free hit can be an option, but if let's say your team is excellent, the rest you have Man City players, I'm not sure. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, I don't see a reason for you to transfer. Yes, the fixture is hard, but both these teams can score. It's not like they're playing against City or they are still playing against teams who are good but not great. So definitely, I don't see why you should free hit or WC unless those Arsenal and Liverpool players have starting doubts. That kind of thing. Otherwise, it's not a priority for me. It's not a reason for me to wildcard.
I think there's one question that one of my cousin posted to me because he has EKTK. What he needs to do if let's say you have that situation because EKTK is not going to play this week, red card, and potentially moving forward also uncertain. What would you do if you have EKTK in your team?
You basically have to decide whether or not Isaac's gonna arrive to the scene saying this spot is mine and score 2 goals tomorrow. Because if you think that he might not and Ekitike might still manage to start again the following week, then it becomes a rotating table because look, there's no chance in it. It's very, very unlikely that Isaac's gonna ride the pine for very long. They ran into so much trouble to get him in. They can't simply, now they're not going to give him the start. So if I had Ekitike but I was not sure about it, then I would sell Ekitike and buy a non-Liverpool striker to have that safety and security of starting regularly.
All right, fair. I think that will be same answer from me. Enzo on penalty, we are still not sure, but he took the last one for Chelsea when Pedro is on the pitch. He might be. What we shall see next one.
Okay, Chelsea fan, I'm going to say yes, he is on penalties.
All right. Sunderland defense. Which one to pick? Mukiele or Alderete? I think people are rating Alderete better.
Yeah,
4.0.
I'm on Alderete. I'll probably go, but it's not really that big. It really is just very slight. Alderete for me.
Last from DM McDonald. Hi, thank you for joining in the stream. He's going free hit this weekend. I think we did not deliberate on free hit team, but this is what he's thinking for this week. Vicario, Poro, because Spurs playing Wolf, Guardiol, City playing Burnley, Keane, Everton playing West Ham, Salah. Oh, yes, Salah and Haaland in his team. Enzo, Chelsea, Gaye, Simmons, Spurs playing Wolf, Reinder, Haaland, João Pedro. Thoughts? Looking good, man.
Yeah, so just looking at that, you got triple up for Manchester City, Guardiol, who I mentioned earlier, Reinders and Haaland. So that's triple up. The second triple up is Spurs by Vicario, Poro, and Simon. So I mentioned Simon just now. So the problem with Simon in terms of that Spurs midfield, aside from Kudus, is that do they keep the starting spot? How often are they going to rotate? But I am confident that this weekend Simons will start, which makes this free hit great in that sense, because you don't have to worry about Simons getting rotated again, because this is just for this week. So for this week, you look at all those players and everyone will start. Keane is not the best option there. I would have, I don't know how much Keane is, but if you could sell.
I think one clear team is not here is Bournemouth away to Leeds.
Yeah, and the other thing is that he's confident that Salah's gonna find a way because he has Salah, which is a big call. And you can also another team that's not here is Arsenal, because they against Newcastle, arguably one of the tougher matches to have. Yeah. So.
But I think it's excellent. If you other than point we mentioned.
Yes. And he has Enzo as well. So yeah.
All right, man. We come to the end of the stream. I think you're gonna finalize your team for the next. I think the deadline will be tomorrow, Saturday at 6 p.m. Malaysian time. So plenty of time. There will be some price move on this tonight. Would definitely. So we will monitor which player to target. But what's your last one?
Yeah, just in my defense, it looks like there's plenty of time, but I have so much things going on tomorrow. So, but yeah, I mean, we got all the team news there. We're not likely going to get much tomorrow, so it really is figuring out what's best for your team. If you're wildcarding, then just wildcard. If you really have problems with your team, then wildcard away. Don't wait. Don't. There's a lot of content creators, and everyone's preferring all the opinion of whether or not you should wildcard. But whichever content creator, including us, we can't really address your specific situation. We don't know, where you stand, how many points you're at, whether you've been having problems, week by week and need to wildcard, even though your team looks okay compared to their ones you see online. But if you feel there's a lot of doubt, then go and wildcard. You can always start again. Don't wait. I don't see why you should keep on waiting. More information. We got a lot of information already. I think you can.
5 weeks, right?
Yeah,
and,
correct.
And another point is we're gonna have like that 5 free transfer during the FCon time. Maybe somewhere I forgot 15 or 16, right? So
that will definitely help. So it will not be a long term. I mean, the problem will not be as dire as we think, where we get into game week 12 and wish we had a wild card to game week 13. Yeah, it just means you just have to plan your transfers a bit more. Now that you've already used your wild card. Yeah, so I'm in that boat. So those who join me, let's get over the line together.
All right, my last word. Thank you all for joining the live stream for Game Week 6 preview. And do hit the like button and subscribe to our FPL Jedi YouTube channel and support us. We will be grateful on that. And continue to support us and just join our stream the next one. There will be no deadline stream for us again this week. But hopefully somewhere next week we'll do that, because the next week will be the last week before another international break, man. Okay?
I hate those things. Just to point out though, I'm more confident we have a deadline stream next week because the deadline's on Friday night. It's 3
Oh, is it?
a.m.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Looking forward to that. So until then, thank you guys for watching, and wish you all the best for this week. Okay, bye.
Bye.